Hey, so for anyone that's seen a number of my videos, you will notice that on YouTube that there's not many videos there. There's a reason behind this, which is the purpose of this actual recording. So I used to have videos about Wu Wei, Po, what else? Stillness, silence, these kind of things. And the ones that I've kept on there, there's one, I think the longest one that's there is the one to do with green deserts. This video is going to be a similar one because it's fine talking about oneness and the Tao and awakening and all these things, but I think if something's not done about it practically, then you're kind of missing a trick. And that is, I've got experiences of being in different groups in Buddhism, for example. I was an initiated Druid also. I would keep perhaps Druidry out of this for the moment because Druidry comes from a different direction, as you will see. A good direction. And that is if you're kind of trying to awaken to this one consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, then everything is part of that. That means the trees behind me are that. Maybe consciousness is the wrong word, but whatever the word, I don't care about the word actually. The trees, the plants, the insects, the sky, they're all you. They're all yourself. You might not really experience that. Now, what I want to show you is my garden, which I will in a moment. Because in a way my garden is an expression of that. A kind of respect and love for the beauty. And that might be, I've just been looking at the tree here, and I saw on one leaf this beautiful little green beetle that was like a polished jewel. And then I looked across at another two leaves further along, and there was another little beetle which was like a shiny purpley blue colour. And there's just an abundance of life here. Now there's an important point, right? If you're wondering why I'm rattling on, and you're going to see the garden in a moment. I live in Austria, right? I'm on a road which you would call a cul-de-sac, I think, where, actually strictly speaking, it's not a cul-de-sac. At the end of my road is a road through a forest. So let me just... So these trees are actually, they back onto a forest stream, and there's more trees down there which are the start of the forest. Now, Austrians are perfectionists when it comes to gardens. You just wipe that camera. It was the same in England to some degree. People like really very short cut grass. So it looked like a golf course. And apparently the reason that we like grass being so short, if you've ever wondered, is that in the olden days, before cars and everything, centuries ago, if you had enough money, if you were wealthy, you could own a horse or several horses, and they would be on your land, they would be eating the grass and keeping the grass short. So it became a kind of to cut your grass was a symbol of wealth. Now, if you're cutting your grass and you're like a typical gardener with a few little potted plants here and there, you will see that you've really got a garden of death, right? That our garden is just this profusion of flowers, and we have planted some, but as you will see in a moment, they come of themselves. Now there's children who walk down the street and past our garden. They stop when they see it and they're pointing at it. I don't know what they're saying, but they probably think we're some kind of messy people. And what we're trying to do actually is just to allow the plants that grow here, even if you think they're weeds or not, but to let them grow so that they flower, so that the insects and the bees and so on can yeah, you can hear people cutting back something, I don't know what. God, they're always busy. Streaming, I think that is, or chain, yeah, it must be streaming. Anyway, whatever. And then when those plants, when they're flowered and they're turning to seed, then I cut them back. So here you will see, you can see here, I mean we've got over here, where are they? There. These thistles, right? There. I mean they're really big. And it's like a jungle. But to keep it like a jungle is to acknowledge the beauty of the wildness of nature and its healing to the heart. And you know, if I'm walking along in this grass now, there are sprays and sprays of like I don't know whether you can see it. Let's just see. I don't know. Yeah, I can see it, but you might not be able to. I'm walking here. There's grasshoppers, look. Grasshoppers and insects just jumping out the way. So here we go. Let's get down to the critter level. And look, there's moths, there's butterflies, there's beetles, there's insects of all sorts of things, spiders, wasps. We're surrounded by birds. Now, how easy would it be just to see all these clover and thistles and cut them down, because we as a humanity are saying that they are let me just switch this off. Yeah, that was saying that these are unsightly plants. So let's go with a lawnmower and cut it all back, right? Look here. And really, after weeks of rain, the garden's not looking as flowery as it was. I don't know whether you can see here all these tiny little flowers, and we get lilies and orchids and beautiful things. I mean, look here. Can you see that? I don't know. Have a look. I mean, a couple of days ago there was a deer eating from this tree here. Now, the reason this is important is because this is a little oasis. Yes, it might be a little bit embarrassing when the neighbours come along and they're looking at it and staring at it with their mouths with the jaws dropped. But isn't that a sign of how spiritually inept we have become? My heart is in these trees, is in the wildness and the simple beauty of life expressing itself. And this is what I'm about. This is to come with a lawnmower and cut away these flowers, and I'm killing the home of all these insects and of all these birds that come into the trees, have nothing to feed on. Sorry, insects, but you're breaking the chain, and the chain itself, if you're breaking the chain, you're harming your own heart, and you're harming the one, if you like. You can sit there on your zafu cushion, or you can be an amazing I don't know whatever teacher of non-duality and so on and so on. Sorry to pick that as an example, but what use is it if you then go home and you're just killing things, and your heart hasn't gone out to the big heart? I'm not trying to create differentiation, and there will be people that will be going, oh, it doesn't really matter what you do because it's all one. This is the one flourishing. It is itself. Let's have a look more. I mean, look at these things. I have to admit that there are more beautiful flowers, but I also know that there is something that will be out there that just can't wait for these things to flower and grab them. And look, we've got more flowers here. Just such an abundance of life. Now I tell you this, now you can have a look more and see. If I go and walk along these houses here with their neatly cut lawns and their little borders with their flowers in and so on, there's just nothing there. The insects are not there. There's just not the profusion of life here. Like in mine, I can't walk without disturbing some creature. It's amazing. I mean, these thistles here are nearly as tall as I am, and this is like a miniature Amazon rainforest. Now, I've lost what I was going to say. I saw these purple flowers down here, and now I've forgotten what I was going to say. That to me is the beauty. Yes, what I was going to say was this: is you can wear your baggy pants and your pashminas and look like some kind of amazing yogi, whatever. Yeah, do all that. But wear the wildness on your sleeve and on your heart, and show your children the importance of allowing the one to fully express itself in just the beauty of its own fulfillment. Because don't underestimate how important it is to these animals that this is here. And if people are talking behind my back about how scruffy this garden is, about how wild and unkempt it is, yes, we want to keep this within limits. I am going to cut some of these thistles back once they've flowered, and so on. But I do as little as possible, because I cherish I cherish these animals and these creatures and this life because they're my spirit. Now, here's a problem that I've had, and I'm being brutally honest with you here. I have an interest in Taoism. I'm being bitten here. So Taoism has kind of followed me around, really, since I was a child, but I didn't know what it was. I used to think, what is this tale of Pooh? When I used to see the book, but I wasn't interested in Winnie the Pooh, so I never bought the book. Until, I don't know, a couple of years ago. What a book that is if you've not read it. And the Tale of Piglet, awesome. But Taoism for me, it's got a... Oh, there's lots of swallows. Oh yeah, you can see these playing. Well, they look like they're playing, but they're probably getting insects. There, over the garden, look. Ah, such life, man, such life. But, so here, a little trip to our compost bins, which brings us to another section of garden. Wow, this place is just incredible, really. I'm so blessed to have found somewhere. I mean, there are slow worms, lizards, snakes that are in here. Man, you know, there's a path here which goes to where we cut the wood, and I cut these back a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and it's grown back again. Fantastic, let it grow. I'll just trim it back a little and try and keep all these flowers here, you know, and so on. Yes, so mushrooms growing, wow. So one of the problems that I've had personally was that I've not really had a religious practice that fulfills both my needs, really. So there's the need of the deeply spiritual, the oneness, the no-thingness and all on this. And then I've got the druid practice, which I'm kind of put off that because of all the ritual and the ceremony and the gods and this and that. But there's also a contemplative aspect to it. But what I like about it is that it's deeply rooted in the respect and a love for nature, and seeing that the heart of nature is our own heart. So when I'm looking at my garden, or when I'm baking something or cooking something or whatever, I feel that's my druid practice. And when I'm kind of doing something on a deeper level, then I'm doing my Taoist practice and so on. But actually they're both the same, really. Any practice, and this is the take home of this video, you've got to get your spiritual hands green and dirty. If you don't have a garden like this, you can do things like buy the book by Glennie Kindred. What's it called now? Something like Letting in the Wild Edges. Man, that is a good book. It's a thick book, about this thick, but it's fantastic. And it will give you things like guerrilla seed bombing, where you get some wild seeds of poppies or whatever, and put them in like a mixture of mud and earth, and then so that the birds don't eat the seeds, and then you just put them in a corner of wasteland that needs to look a bit better, or in a park where no one's going to be troubled by a few extra flowers, and just bring a bit of wildness and a bit of beauty and that nurturing. You know, if we go back to the Taoism and the Chinese have always said, if you want to live to 100 years old, you You need to nurture and care for things, and simple things, looking after flowers, watering plants, stroking your cats, cherishing things. This is the heart with a capital H, and it doesn't matter whether you're Christian or Buddhist or whatever. If you're sat on your cushion thinking that there is this big higher self where I'm going to change in energy and become this, leave this body behind, you're losing it. You're on the wrong end of the stick, because your body here is just as much the one as anything else. Any dreams you've got are changing into some kind of energetic form and whisking away along the rainbow. This is it. This is born from the earth, which is born from the stars. And every other animal and life and creature is also the same. What right do I have of getting in its way? What right do we have to go and cut the lawn because we think it looks bloody smarter? What right do we have of taking the home of all these creatures that are myself? So the best we can do is nurture them and love that beauty, and stop being so highbrow about our emptiness and oneness, and get your hands dirty and clear some shit and put some bloody flowers in the ground and help the bees and help the birds and help the insects and help this planet, without sounding too hippie-ish, but it's true. Do something instead of just I don't know, recycling or clicking a few likes on Facebook about something that's green and eco. Do something. Okay, so that's the message of this. Get your hands dirty and clean your heart. Thank you.